On our wedding night, Mark locked me in the bathroom while he consummated his marriage with his first love, Emily. Incredulous, I asked him why. Desperately, did it have to be today? He gave me a perfunctory kiss. She was drugged. I couldn't just leave her. Don't be so petty. We're just sleeping together, it's not a big deal. Baby. Later, on the anniversary of the day Mark and I confessed our feelings for each other, I married my childhood sweetheart, Alex. He begged me with reddened eyes, did it have to be today? I smiled. Why are you so petty? I'm just marrying someone else, it's not a big deal. That night, while I was on an 4 drip for a high fever, a nurse rushed in. Dr. Miller, there's a woman in labor who insists you deliver her baby. She refuses to give birth otherwise. Frowning at such an absurd request, I yanked out the 4 and headed to the operating room. A man paced anxiously outside. For a moment, I thought, there are still reliable men in the world. Then I looked closer. It was Mark, my husband. My heart clenched as I walked past him. The man who had insisted on remaining child-free, who had pressured me to have an abortion, was now anxiously awaiting the birth of his child with Emily, his first love. He was doting on her, ensuring her every comfort. So, it wasn't that Mark didn't want children, he just didn't want a child with me. With mixed emotions, I entered the operating room. I avoided looking at Emily's face, but I still caught a glimpse of a triumphant smirk. Clearly, her insistence on me delivering her baby was a deliberate act of humiliation. After the delivery, I gave the usual instructions and left the operating room. Exhausted from the fever and surgery, I collapsed. Mark didn't even glance at me. In his panic, he even kicked me as he rushed to Emily's side, his eyes focused on her and their newborn son. I woke up the next evening in our master bedroom. Mark sat beside me, his eyes filled with concern. The arrogant man, for the first time, offered an explanation. You know, Emily and I only did it once. Who knew she'd get pregnant? I couldn't just let a life be lost, could I? Seeing my cold expression, he pulled me into his arms. He said in a spoiled tone, "Honey, you're the best. Don't be mad at me, okay?" It was the first time he'd offered me a way out, I admit. My heart softened. I nodded in agreement. However, my compromise didn't bring peace. Mark pushed his luck. You should move your things to the guest room. I need to bring Emily and the baby home. I stared at him in disbelief. Excuse me? He frowned as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. So I can take care of her, of course. Ignoring him, I got out of bed and pointed to the hundreds of photos on the wall, snapshots of our memories together. Mark, you said this was our secret space, just for us. Are you sure you want her living here? Years ago, when we moved into this house, Mark had looked at me with adoration. Baby, this is our home, our secret hideaway. I'll never let anyone else in here, and I'll love you forever. Promises of love, so easily broken. Meeting my tear-filled eyes, Mark became impatient. The past is the past. Are you going to live in the past forever? I had someone check the feng shui of the guest room. It's bad. Emily is frail after giving birth, she can't stay in a place like that. Without waiting for my response, he slammed the door and left. The "what about me" caught in my throat, unspoken. Perhaps those 3 words were inherently self-degrading. Little did I know, this cruel treatment was only the beginning of the nightmare. Chapter 2. The next day, I left for work as usual, but Emily stopped me. Where do you think you're going? Meeting my confused gaze, she sneered. It's no wonder. You're getting senile, forgetting everything. Listen up. From today onwards, you're my maid. You'll take care of me during my postpartum confinement. You're not going anywhere. At this absurd declaration, I shook off her hand and tried to leave. She deliberately fell to the floor, then began to sob and complain. Mark. It hurts. Wha? Mark, coming down the stairs, rushed over, knocking me aside to scoop Emily into his arms. He kissed her tenderly, then glared at me. Sarah, how could you be so cruel? Emily didn't do anything to you. Why would you do this to her? Faced with his blatant favoritism, I didn't bother arguing. Silently, I tried to walk around them and leave. Who said you could go? 2 security guards grabbed my arms and dragged me back inside. With Mark's permission, they threw me to the floor. He looked down at me and announced, I've requested a month's leave for you. This month, you'll stay home and take care of Emily. Tears welled up, and I laughed in exasperation. Mark, what do you take me for? He treated me as if I were invisible. Ignoring my outburst, he carried Emily upstairs, the sound of the locking door echoing behind him. I was left alone to face this ridiculous reality. I scrolled through my contacts, staring at a long-forgotten number. I hesitated for a long time, unable to press the call button. And so, I, an obstetric specialist, became an apology specialist during my time caring for my husband's mistress. The food wasn't to her liking? I'm sorry. The water didn't taste right? I'm sorry. Her baby cried and disturbed her? I'm sorry. Every sleepless night, I deluded myself. It's okay. He'll realize my worth someday. How foolish I was to expect a man to come to his senses. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. One day, I carefully carried a bowl of chicken soup into the master bedroom. I saw Mark buried in Emily's arms, suckling on something. When I realized what it was, I screamed and dropped the bowl. Emily pushed Mark away with feigned shyness. Oh, you. It's your fault for teasing me at a time like this. Shards of the bowl sliced into my leg, but the scalding soup was nothing compared to the coldness in my heart. Mark clicked his tongue, annoyed. Why are you so clumsy? Can't you do anything right? He forgot that these hands were meant to hold a scalpel, not cater to his mistress. Seeing the same look of disgust he'd given me countless times, I gave up. I gave up on the hope that he would love me like he used to. I closed my eyes, biting my lip as tears streamed down my face. Mark, please, let me go back to the hospital. I really don't want to. I couldn't finish the sentence. He was about to refuse when Emily chuckled and interrupted. Sure. Before I could rejoice, her next words plunged me into the abyss. I don't think my husband's doing it right. Why don't you come and guide him? I was rooted to the spot by the absurdity of her request. I looked pleadingly at Mark, but he deliberately avoided my gaze, a flicker of anticipation in his eyes. With a heavy sigh, I walked towards them, vowing with each step never to look back. The guidance I provided felt like acid on my tongue, the scene searing itself into my memory. It was a full half-hour before they let me leave. In a hidden corner, my fingernails dug into my palm, drawing blood. Leaving the milk-scented master bedroom, I wiped away my tears. No matter what, these hands would hold a scalpel again. Just not at this hospital. I decided to leave. Chapter 3. That evening, the second the text message confirming my flight booking arrived, Mark opened the door. Startled, I quickly turned off my phone. He didn't seem to notice, sitting down beside me and stroking my face. Baby, Emily's breasts are swollen and painful. I can't just ignore her, can I? I shook my head gently, no longer fighting for love that wasn't mine. It's okay. It's not your fault. You're doing the right thing. Mark frowned. My expected pleas and arguments were absent, and it seemed to irritate him. Don't be sulky. I really love you. You're the only one I love. Years of habit were hard to break. I instinctively defended myself. I'm not. He sighed and turned off the light. Clothes hit the floor, and he pushed me down without a word. I frantically pushed against his chest, trying to refuse. He scoffed, his voice laced with contempt. Sarah, these games of yours are childish and annoying. But this time I truly didn't want it. And in that near-violent act, my hatred for him reached its peak. But worse was yet to come. The next morning, I was awakened by Emily's slap. Still dazed, I saw her nestled in Mark's arms, pointing at me tearfully. She deliberately messed up my stitches because she resents me for having your baby. Look at the scar. Faced with her fabricated accusation, I denied it. Emily, how can you lie? You know I didn't do your stitches. Mark interrupted impatiently. Enough. The proof is right here. What's there to argue about? I looked where he was pointing, speechless. The scar was barely a millimeter wide, almost invisible. He saw my indifferent expression and his eyes flashed with anger. Sarah, you're truly venomous. He yanked me out of bed, my phone clattered to the floor. Apologize. Anxious to leave, I decided to appease them. Under their intertwined gazes, I bowed deeply for a full 10 seconds. As I tried to move away, Mark stopped me. Hold it. I bit my lip, forcing myself to ask, what more do you want? He sneered. A guard handed him a finger separator. Realizing what was about to happen, I recoiled in horror. Mark, are you crazy? His face remained cold, silent. Emily twirled her hair, feigning innocence. Sarah, my husband is doing this for your own good. Otherwise, you might get jealous of pretty girls in the future, lose your medical ethics, and go down the wrong path. My struggles were futile against the guard's hold. As my screams echoed through the house, as my tears dried, as I stared at my bloodied hands, trembling uncontrollably, I swore they would pay for this. But my first hurdle was escaping this locked room. Chapter 4. Reflect on your actions. When you realize you're wrong, I'll let you out. Faced with his indifference, the small window, and my upcoming flight, I felt helpless. Unexpectedly, an hour later, the door opened. But it was Emily who walked in. She touched my face with feigned concern. Oh, Sarah, look at you, sweating so much. Thank you for taking care of me these past few days. I'll help you cool down. She gestured, and several muscular men entered the room. Someone hit me, and I blacked out. I woke up in the basement freezer. The icy air attacked me relentlessly. I clutched my chest, struggling to breathe. My mind foggy from the cold, I called Mark. He answered, his voice annoyed. What do you want now? I had no time for games. My voice trembled from the cold. She locked me in the freezer. Please come and get me. Please. He scoffed. You're such a liar. I know Emily better than you do. Stop bullying her. You're disgusting. He hung up. I gasped for air, my head tilted back as I struggled to breathe. I glanced at the thermostat, minus 20 degrees Celsius. The freezing air stung every inch of my skin. I felt the chilling presence of death. I pounded on the door with what little strength I had left, unable to scream. Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching. Hope surged through me. I gritted my teeth and pleaded, please, help me open the door. I'm dying. The footsteps stopped outside. I thought I was saved. I'm sorry, ma'am, but Miss Emily said anyone who opens the door for you won't get their bonus. Don't make things difficult for me. I'm just here to get the car. Miss Emily wants to take it for maintenance. The footsteps retreated. I laughed bitterly. My husband didn't believe me. His mistress was actively trying to kill me, ensuring he remained unaware. Tears froze on my cheeks. I gripped my phone and finally dialed that long-forgotten number. Before I could speak, a voice answered, "Decided to call me at last?" My heart pounded weakly. I barely managed to whisper, "Help me." I opened his chat window and sent my location just as my phone warned of low battery. As the screen went black, I stared at the message, uncertain if it had sent due to the poor signal, and laughed despairingly. Thankfully, Alex arrived in time and saved my life. As I lay in the operating room, Mark stood outside my bedroom door, sneering. When did you get so stubborn? Can't you even apologize? If you don't want to, stay in there forever. Emily added fuel to the fire. You can't spoil women. Her fake innocence is sickening. Mark snorted and left with her in his arms. It would be days before he realized I was gone. 5 days later, worried, Mark went to check on me. He received an express delivery. He tore it open and ran to my room, ready to confront me. He kicked open the door to find an empty room. As Mark stared at the cremation certificate in his hand, his eyes stinging, I received his critical condition notification. Chapter 5. Mark's body trembled as he stood in the empty room, relentlessly calling my phone. On the 47th attempt, it finally connected. Relief washed over him, instantly replaced by angry accusations. "What are you playing at? You're acting like a child with these fake death games." I remained silent. Reluctantly, he softened his tone. "Be good, okay? Does your hand still hurt? Come home now, and I'll put some ointment on it." Normally, I would have seized the olive branch and apologized. But now, I stayed silent. His patience wore thin. My unusual behavior irritated him. "Sarah, I'm warning you." A deep male voice interrupted him. "I'm sorry, she's no longer with us. Please accept my condolences." Before Mark could react, the line went dead. He scoffed, assuming it was another one of my dramatic performances. He didn't believe I would die so suddenly, so he asked Emily about my whereabouts. She feigned ignorance, her words dripping with malice. Maybe she couldn't stand being alone and went to find another man. She always came home late. Who knows if she was really working night shifts or warming some other guy's bed. Emily continued, but Mark snapped. "Enough." Both of them froze. It was the first time Mark had raised his voice at Emily. Confused by his own outburst, he frowned and forced himself to apologize. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm just worried." After a flurry of kisses and hugs, Emily finally calmed down. When she wasn't looking, Mark glanced at the stretch marks on her belly, his face contorted with disgust. He left abruptly, but not before issuing a warning: "Don't make assumptions about her." Emily stared at his retreating figure, muttering venomously, "Sarah, you better be dead. Dead and gone." Knowing how much I loved my work, Mark went straight to my department. He asked around, but everyone gave the same answer: "I don't know. Dr. Miller didn't request leave or resign. She just stopped coming. We can't reach her. We've called hundreds of times. No one knew where I was." Suddenly, the man's words, "Please accept my condolences," echoed in his mind. A real sense of dread washed over him. As he turned to leave, his eyes fell on a paternity test result with Emily's name on it. Ignoring the protests of the staff, he grabbed it and examined it closely. Based on DNA analysis, the alleged father, Mark, is excluded as the biological father of the child. Mark felt like he'd been struck by lightning. Chapter 6. Clutching the paternity test, Mark stormed home. Before Emily could greet him with a kiss, he threw the document in her face. His voice thundered with rage and disbelief. "Emily! How dare you cheat on me? Do you have a death wish?" Emily froze, shocked that he had found out. Sweat beaded on her back, but she bit her lip and put on a pitiful expression, tears welling in her eyes. "It was that night I was drugged. After you gave me the antidote, you told me to leave quickly." Mark interrupted impatiently. "I told the driver to take you home, didn't I?" Emily continued to cry. "Sarah wouldn't let anyone take me, so I walked home by myself. On the way, I ran into, and I was." She trailed off, letting her tears and apparent distress speak for themselves. Mark's face darkened, a mixture of anger and confusion. He felt betrayed but couldn't direct his anger. "You shouldn't have come to me in the first place." Emily looked up at him in disbelief. She thought her excuse was foolproof, designed to turn Mark against me and garner his sympathy. But the scales in Mark's heart had tipped. "Isn't this Sarah's fault? Why are you blaming me?" Mark didn't see his own fault, only her accusatory tone. He shook off her hand and locked himself in the guest room. It was their first real fight since their affair began. After much deliberation, Emily decided to swallow her pride and apologize. "I'm sorry, Mark. I know I was wrong. I won't speak to you like that again." She began to sing a lullaby, a mixture of coaxing and... It was a song I used to sing to him. Mark's mind filled with images of me. The near-identical scenes disoriented him. After a struggle, he vowed to find me and make things right between the three of us. With this newfound resolve, he felt a sense of relief. He reached for the door handle, ready to embrace Emily. Then, a message popped up on his phone, a video from me. His heart leaped with excitement. He opened it without hesitation. But instead of seeing me safe and sound, he saw the reason for my death. The video showed me being knocked unconscious by a man, then dragged into the basement freezer on Emily's orders. My cries and pleas were ignored. The horrifying truth slammed into Mark. He flung open the door. Emily was still singing. As she moved to embrace him, thinking his anger had subsided, he slapped her hard across the face. Before she could scream, he slammed her against the wall, his hands tightening around her neck. His voice trembled with rage. "Explain this to me." He prayed the video was fake. He prayed his Emily wasn't capable of such cruelty. Emily struggled to breathe. Thinking she was about to die, she confessed everything. "I didn't mean to, she was always around, annoying you." Mark sneered. All his love for her evaporated. He grabbed her wrist and dragged her down to the basement. As Emily realized what he was doing, she shrieked, "Mark! Are you crazy?" With a clang, the freezer door slammed shut. The abuser had become the abused. Mark set the temperature to 0 degrees Celsius, not out of mercy, but to prolong her suffering. The longer she stayed in, the more painful and hopeless it would become. Standing before the freezer, Mark froze. Everything clicked into place. My cremation certificate might not have been fake. I might actually be gone. He listened to Emily's weakening pleas and realized with a sickening lurch that he had ignored mine. He had indirectly caused my death. Emily lay dying inside, but Mark felt no concern for her. His heart ached, but for me. After that day, he frantically used all his connections to search for me, desperately hoping I was still alive. Consumed by despair and grief, his prayers were answered 2 weeks later. He learned of my whereabouts, boarded a plane, and flew to me. Chapter 7. Alex rushed me from Mark's house to the emergency room. Thankfully, they saved my life. After I recovered, we moved abroad. He found specialized treatment for my hands, carefully applying ointment to my wounds every day. "I know you can't give up being a doctor. Instead of making you do something you hate, I'd rather take care of you so you can return to your work as soon as possible." He was, and always had been, my rock. Yet, I had been foolish enough to cut ties with him because of Mark's jealousy. By the time I realized my mistake, I thought it was too late. But he had been waiting for me. This time, I took his hand, and we walked together in the sunlight, without hiding. My colleagues teased us, calling us the surgical soulmates, as I often picked Alex up from work. I thought these romantic, ordinary days would continue forever. One evening, on our way home, Mark appeared. He stood before me, and I simply tried to walk around him. He grabbed my wrist. His eyes were red-rimmed, tears streaming down his face. "Sarah, why did you lie to me?" He saw the indifference in my eyes and panicked. He shook his head, as if trying to convince himself, and pulled me into a hug. I know. You were tired, you needed a break, that's why you left. But I've changed. I've changed all my bad habits. Sarah, I know I was wrong. Come back with me, please? I'll treat you well. I swear." I frowned, about to voice my displeasure, when strong arms pulled me away from him. "Excuse me, you're frightening my girlfriend." Mark wiped his tears, his face hardening. "This is my wife. My legal wife. Understand?" As they were about to argue, I spoke. "Mark, let's not do this anymore. It's over." His face crumpled. Sarah, what are you talking about? I knew he wouldn't listen, so I took Alex's hand, right in front of him. I don't love you anymore. I'm in love with someone else. Understand? Ignoring Mark's protests, Alex led me away. Mark stood there, staring after me, unable to comprehend. He had anticipated everything but this. He couldn't understand how I, who had loved him unconditionally, could move on so easily. Then, he realized I hadn't filed for divorce. A flicker of hope ignited within him. He assumed Alex was just a pawn in my game. He assumed I still needed his love. So, he started following my Instagram, finding out where I worked, showering me with gifts tailored to my interests. Just as he thought he was winning me back, I posted my engagement announcement. The gifts stopped. I assumed he had given up. But he showed up at the engagement party. Sarah, I'm still your legal husband. Do you know you're committing bigamy? The room fell silent. Then, I slapped him, not with my hand, but with the divorce papers, already signed with his name. Chapter 8. Mark stared at his signature on the divorce papers, convinced they were forged. But my confident expression told him otherwise. His mind flashed back to the day we got our marriage license. He had handed me a prenuptial agreement. I had looked at him, confused, and he had chuckled. I'm worried I might treat you badly in the future, so I want to give you a way out. The 70-30 split in my favor had been his most sincere promise. If you find happiness, you can leave me. He had been so sure of my unwavering love, and I had been so sure of his. Less than a year later, his promise came back to haunt him. All he could ask was, "Do you really not love me anymore?" I said nothing, holding up my hand to display the sparkling engagement ring. Mark clenched his fists. As murmurs filled the room, he knelt down, holding out a ring of his own. He looked at the date displayed on the large screen and lied to himself. Sarah, it's our 8th anniversary. Marry me again, please? I'll treat you well for the rest of our lives. He had been nervous, but my hesitation gave him false hope. He mistook it for consideration, when in reality, it was a performance. He had taught me well how to play hot and cold. As he was about to taunt Alex, I gestured, and 2 security guards appeared, escorting him away. A wave of bitterness washed over Mark. He asked desperately, did it have to be today? He wanted to delay, even for a day, hoping for a miracle. I chuckled, as if he had told a joke. Why are you so petty? I'm just getting married to my boyfriend. Do I have to avoid our so-called anniversary? The once arrogant Mark was humiliated and mocked at my engagement party, unceremoniously thrown out. Later that night, as Alex and I were in the study, he knocked over a forgotten document, Mark's critical condition notification. For the first time since leaving, I contacted him. His unread messages were filled with pleas. I locked Emily in the freezer, letting her out and putting her back in, making her suffer double what you went through. I know I was wrong. I can't live without you. Sarah, please, I'm begging you, don't be with him. His words meant nothing to me. I stroked the title of the notification and sent him a time and place. I wanted to meet. The next morning. Torrential rain. Desolate countryside. As my car approached, he didn't move. Instead, he ran towards it like a dog eager to greet its master. But it was Alex who emerged from the driver's seat, protectively standing by my side. Ignoring their tense standoff, I spoke directly. Mark, I can't completely forget about you. You know, we were so in love. Those feelings don't just disappear overnight. Mark's eyes lit up with hope. As his confidence swelled, I changed my tone. But I can't just forgive you. What if you betray me again? Mark rushed to reassure me. I won't, baby. I've learned my lesson. I swear. A clap of thunder interrupted him. Alex and I exchanged a smirk. Even the heavens seemed to mock his empty vows. We were together for 8 years. Kneel for 8 hours, and I'll forgive you. Deal? Mark frowned, about to object, but then he saw the look in my eyes, a flicker of what he perceived as trust. He agreed instantly. "Anything for you." The pampered man knelt in the pouring rain for 8 hours. The rain beat down on him, the mud beneath his knees turning into a swamp. From day to night, he endured. As a reward, I tossed him the critical condition notification. "Forget about love. Try figuring out how long you have left to live." I got into the car. Alex followed. Mark's hoarse cries echoed behind us. "Sarah! How could you treat me like a dog?" Chapter 9. I glanced in the rearview mirror. Mark was slumped on the ground, sobbing. I turned back, twisting the ring on my finger. "You treated me like a dog," I thought. "You should have known this day would come." I wanted him to suffer 10-fold, 100-fold, for the pain he had caused me. After all this, he seemed genuinely broken. Perhaps he finally understood that we were over, or perhaps he was too busy trying to save his own life. For almost 6 months, he disappeared. I saw him again while picking up Alex from work. He was kneeling before Alex, begging pathetically for his life. I overheard a few words and understood. Like me, Alex came from a family of doctors, though our specialties differed. We had both been child prodigies, growing up to become brilliant physicians. And Alex's field of expertise happened to be exactly what Mark needed. The arrogant Mark, after exhausting all other options, was now kneeling before the man who had stolen his wife. The ultimate humiliation. He thought begging would buy him his life. But I heard Alex's firm reply. "You're too late. The cancer has already spread extensively." Mark's pride had killed him. In the end, Alex offered him a treatment plan, involving monthly bone marrow biopsies for monitoring. Mark agreed. When they were finished, I opened the door to Alex's office. I took his hand and we left, our closeness a stark contrast to Mark's desolate figure. His resentful gaze followed us as we walked away. 2 months later, our wedding day arrived. Alex filled the venue with gardenias, flowers Mark had never given me. As the wedding march played and guests applauded, Alex and I exchanged loving glances and spoke the words, "I do," words meant for each other, finally spoken. We exchanged rings, the ceremony complete. Amidst the cheers, a lone figure stood in the shadows, heartbroken. He clutched a ring, his mind replaying our wedding day. But from now on, my memories of marriage would no longer be intertwined with his. Mark watched my happy smile, sighed deeply, and unclenched his fists. With a lingering sense of regret, he turned and left. For the last 5 years of his life, he never forgave himself. Every day was filled with regret. He often murmured, "If only." But there were no if-onlys. There was no going back. Finally, he closed his eyes on his hospital bed, tears staining his cheeks, and never woke up. That same day, I stood on a world-renowned stage, accepting an award. A prestigious medal hung around my neck, and beside me stood my loving husband, his eyes mirroring my joy. The darkness and foolishness of the past were long gone. From the moment I left the country, I had been reborn. And now, my life was brighter than ever before. But I knew this wasn't the peak. My path would only widen, become even more luminous. Hand in hand with my beloved, the journey ahead wouldn't be difficult.